Hello and welcome back to Millennials Gone Circular, the podcast making circularity a reality. I am your host, Caitlyn Socwell, and I'm here with my very good friends, Angelica Barrios and Fadyl. Today we've got a little bit of a different episode from our usual setup. We wanted to take this opportunity to reflect a little bit about last year that's just passed, if only to look back for a brief moment so that we can look forward toward the year to come. We'll chat about lessons and shifts that we've noticed in the topic of sustainability and circularity, and we'll sprinkle in just a little bit of hope for 2026. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode.
Saeed, Angelica, we are back, babies.
Yes,
Yeah.
We've had some time away. Some of us have traveled. Some of us got married. Wink, wink, Angelica. How does it feel to be a married woman?
Yeah, pretty much the same. That's very good. Now you know that you have someone for the rest of your life, so you don't need to care about that.
Yeah.
So
must be nice. You can let yourself go officially.
Exactly.
Nice.
No, but
congratulations.
Yeah, but it's very nice. How about you guys? How is your life going so far?
Yeah, good. Saeed, any marriages on your end we don't know about, or maybe some stand-up Netflix specials you've got going on? Keep it in secret.
Yeah, I keep my marriage secrets to myself. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing.
Saeed.
Or maybe you did, Caitlyn, as well.
I did not get married. What did I do? I traveled a bit, and yeah, that's about it. I think, and this will probably come out in our conversation today. But this last year has been a bit of a hermit year for me, especially in the last couple of months, trying to unpack things. But anywho, okay. So today, I'm really excited because today we're talking about the reflections from that year and learning. So we'll get into that stuff. But the experiences, the lessons, the insights that revealed themselves to us over the course of the past 12 months or from 2025 in particular. And we'll chat about what they signal for circularity and sustainability more broadly going into 2026. But first, happy Chinese New Year to you both and to you, our listener.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but my Insta has been blowing up with stuff about how we're shedding the skin of the year of the snake. And I don't know, it resonated for me. I think for some of us, 2025 has been an absolute garbage fire of a year. And for some of us, the year has just been meh. But apparently we're now entering in the year of the fire horse. And if you're anything like me, I have some pretty high expectations for this year. And so maybe that's a kind of a good place for us to start and try and unpack this theme around hope for the future and specifically around the next 12 months. So Angelica, you, I think, were the keenest out of all of us for having this topic today. And you talked about the concept of, what was it, grounded hope, which I think is a really great place for us to start, before diving into the new year and the review of last year. So can you tell us a bit more about what grounded hope is and what it means for us going forwards?
Oh, that's a very good question, because now I'm thinking that it's just a concept that I made up because sometimes people think I'm too positive, toxic positivism. But I always said, no, I just have a survival positivism. It's different. But at some point I realized, but it is actually like a survival positivism, or there is another way to explain it in a more accurate way for me. And then I realized, okay, the way that I conceive or think about my positivism is just the way that I take good or positive news. And I said, well, you see, it's not all bad news. So I take like insights, stats, and like real facts or like scientific facts to understand that we are not all going wrong in many ways. Of course, by any chance, I try to deny all the bad things that are happening in the world, and all the things that we still need to fix within ourselves as societies, as humanity. But it's also undeniable that we have been doing some progress throughout the last 200 years. And with that said, for example, like the modern human rights movement, they emerged mainly in the 18th and 19th centuries, right? So the women also rights, the child labor bans, labor rights, social protections, everything just within the last 200 years. Also environmental protection laws, they have about 60 years, right? And just now, 4 years ago, in 2022, the UN declared the right for a healthy environment. So we have to think what this actually means for human awareness. Like we realize, okay, we cannot harm others. Just that sounds super basic, but it's actually like a huge progress when it comes to like a full society almost realizing these things and creating laws around it. So based on all these facts and all the actual progress that we have had also when it comes to sustainability in companies and within our lives, I think it's just it's very good, and I feel kind of proud of it in the sense of I know in some way maybe my idea or like the conclusion is we are capable of moral expansion. We are not just stuck in the biological needs we have, for example. We're also capable to redefine what is acceptable or not for society. And for me, the most important thing is like I know we're capable of changing systems, even though those are systems that we have had from since forever. I still think and that's possible to change. And for me, that's grounded hope. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I like
I
the survival positivism. Positivism.
Yeah. It's
Like
not
that.
toxic, it's survival.
and
Yeah.
I love the way you go in terms of time like scale
Mm.
to a very long period of time, like taking like centuries, and you evaluate sort of the progress and the developments we have had. And because for me, I often tend to just think about the last 5, 10 years and compare where we were and where we are right now. And that's actually a bit leads me to a certain of negative bias. And you know this already, so thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
I have been watching, like, what is it called? It's some dragon spin-off of the Game of Thrones, whatever it's called. I don't pay attention to titles. But it's set in the Middle Ages or back in time. And I go, oh my goodness, we humans were just killing each other left, right, and center, and we're still doing it. We never learned. Surely we've evolved. But I like something that the grounded hope kind of encompasses, and that is the same species that created these crises and are harming each other and harming the environment. We're also very capable of creating solutions, as you outlined. Um, all of the UN human rights to a healthy environment, and the child labor ban. We're slowly getting there. It's nice. It's just nice to step out of the oh my goodness, look at all the things we're doing wrong, all the things that are wrong, and just go, actually, there are some things going right. And we can't drown in this toxic, like, negativity forever. Otherwise, we get frozen. We can't actually take that step. So thank you. I think it's really nice. It's really nice to be just reminded that we should be grounded, coming back to ourselves, and it's a good way to survive and keep pushing forward because it is easy to get brought down by all the things coming on.
And yeah, and I definitely think like, is there any other way? If you think about it, you can have a bad day and have bad energy because of those bad things that happen to you throughout the day, or you can take that bad day, same things that happen to you, and have a good energy about it. Which decision do you think it's better? So more or less, we can do the same for every single thing or every single problem that our planet is facing at this point. But yeah, that's just my way to see it. I perfectly understand that also having a more realistic point of view is also very good for many other reasons. But yeah, I think we're on it.
Why do you believe hope can be based on history and data and not just like emotions?
There is like a super interesting experiment that I can leave the link of the scientific article because it's super old. I think it was created in the 60s or 70s, where still you can experiment in animals more freely. So it's made on rats, where basically they had one rat in a tube with water, and they put it there just to survive swimming, and the rat passed away maybe 15 minutes later. And then in the other experiment, or in the other side of the experiment, they put another rat, and they just leave it for 40 minutes 55 seconds, but they take it out before she drowned. And then they wait until the rat rests a bit, and then they put it back in the same water, and guess how much she survived?
Longer?
Almost 10 hours.
Whoa.
Not just double, not just triple, insane, like 10 times more. Just because there is something in our brains that when hope is activated, or the simple possibility that our brains realize there is a chance that I can survive, the body activates absolutely every single survival mechanism that we can have. Like fight or flight. Imagine every single survival mechanism, because remember that your body wants to keep you alive. That's the main purpose of your body and every single biological mechanism we have. And just the fact that you give that hinge of hope to your body immediately just explode in all of these mechanisms. So I think science that is telling us something. So that's why also I think grounded hope, it's also based on real data, and you can keep checking, because since then, there has been other similar experiments that prove how hope is not just an emotional state. It's a biological mechanism of survival that we can actually take advantage of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is wild. I was not anticipating you to say 10 hours. But the thing up for me was like, I've been involved in the gym for years and years, background as a physio, background in sports. So I always was the saying that's always living in my head when I want to give up, or, when I was training for my boxing fight, the thing that always stuck in my mind was your body can do, I think it's like 20% of more than where your mind wants to quit. So I think that's a really good, I don't know, that's just how I related to it. Wow.
But imagine that's just when you want. Now imagine when your body tells you, okay, we cannot die here. Then everything explodes.
Yeah, it's shocking for me as well. It's
Yep. And we will leave our listeners the link for the study. Maybe some people have other conclusions that it will be also amazing to see, because maybe since I'm a positive person, I just see the positive side of the experiment, the result. So it will be nicer, for example, for Said to read the article and say, okay, maybe, but, and you put your realism there. I will appreciate it also. That would be a nice exercise to me.
I always think like, yeah, being positive or like hopeful in this, like a decision that you can take at personal level, regardless of external conditions or whatever. But sometimes it's hard because, it's hard to ignore these external factors. Yeah, but this when you see these kind of studies, I think it helps convince our brain to think more positively and hopefully.
Yeah. What's also brought this on, there's a really great good news letter, and I maybe have mentioned this on the podcast before, but it's called Fix the News, and formerly known as Crunch, I believe, but it's called Fix the News. It's out of Australia, and they report on all the good news that's happening around the world that's maybe not getting front headlines because it's not clickbaity. But it's really lovely to sit down with your cup of coffee or your tea in the morning and just sort of start your day with a boost of good news. But they also do a podcast called Hope is a Verb. And I thought that was a really nice link to what we're talking about, this grounded hope. But it's not just a feeling. You don't have to put yourself in positions like that. You can actually work on building hope. It's an action. So
Yes.
thanks so much, Angelica. I'm curious, you mentioned a few things around, I guess, some examples of human progress. You mentioned the UN launched the concept of a human right to a healthy environment. in 2022. Are there any other examples of human progress that give you confidence that change is possible?
Well, actually, there are some, maybe those that I just mentioned were like big, like changes that take us some time to get there. But for example, if we think just as 2024, the renewable energy sources made up to 48%, I think, to gross electricity consumption in the EU, I'm sorry. And the idea is to double that for now in 2030. Also, when it comes to deforestation, it has been deaccelerating. So now the annual rate of net forest loss fell from almost 10 million hectares from like the 90s, like 1990 to the early 2000s, to 4.2 million hectares. So we have almost halved it from 2015 to 2025. Which is good, because let's remember that when we talk about like carbon emissions and climate change and these topics, we also mention we need to stop cutting trees. We need to stop damaging our forest. So I think that's also a big achievement when it comes to sustainability. And in general, I think just legal moral expansion. Just the fact that we realize every single human being, it doesn't matter your nationality, your social class, or anything, has the right to have a healthy environment, means that it doesn't matter how powerful you are, it doesn't matter what kind of business you have, you cannot go and, for example, throw away radioactive waste in a country just because it's far away from you, because they have the same right that you have to have a healthy water, soil, and air.
Yeah.
It sounds basic. Maybe sometimes I feel like we don't analyze how huge that is for human awareness. But for me, if you think deep to it, for me, that's a huge thing. Like, we just realize everyone deserves to just have clean water, clean air, clean soil as much as me.
A bit disappointing we took till 2022 to work that out, but oh well, here we are.
Yeah.
Saeed, I'm curious, how does grounded hope, now that we understand that concept, how does grounded hope influence how you show up in life and work? Is there a way that you resonate with the concept that jumps out to you?
I mean, first, hope for me is sort of a belief, and it's like comes from spiritual beliefs. Let's say a religion, in my case, and sort of having the belief that something good is gonna happen, or like we will be able to make progress, or we will achieve, or I will achieve my goals. Realistically, if I do maths, I find that it's almost impossible or very hard to achieve. And therefore, like, having that belief helps to just push me to continue throughout the process. Because otherwise, if I just look at the like 1 + 1 = 2, or like just the evidence, the reality, it's hard, and I would likely to give up. If I like to summarize it, it would be like, it's a way to keep me going on, not giving up, keeping up good work, and trust the process, basically.
And I have a question for you, Said. You like a lot the business world and understanding how companies can be more sustainable. What do you think is a positive thing that you can take from your knowledge and your experience in business and as a consultant that happens in the last year when it comes to sustainability, that you have seen, oh, actually companies are improving this?
Many organizations have realized that in order to continue growth in long term, like I'm talking about like beyond 10 years, like integrating sustainability is very crucial. And regardless whether it's about compliance because of regulations or not, it will be very, very important to integrate sustainability, because we cannot grow in a finite environment where we have finite resources where we have like linear business models and so on, and seeing that like businesses and behind those businesses they are like people, seeing those people realizing that and working towards that, like kind of give me hope.
Mm. That's a really good segue, I think, into connecting the grounded hope into looking back at 2025. Because now that we've understand that concept of grounding hope and understanding how it's showing up in our personal lives and our work lives and even through our projects and activities working with different businesses, we can see that cropping up. Um, I think it's just a good point for us now to go and reflect on what else we learned from 2025. Um, so on that note, is there anything that you learned? I mean, you mentioned that companies and organizations, for them to grow long term, they're going to have to implement sustainability. There's no kind of way around it. But is there anything else that has really shaped you going forward?
Achieving great things takes time, uh, and it applies also to integrating sustainability to operational level, like because we see now like targets at very high level, like say science-based targets, or let's say we want to be circular or 50% circular by 2030. You kind of see this kind of targets published in every big or large corporation. But the challenge, the challenge now is to operationalize and achieve those targets at very operational levels, site levels, and have the processes in place, governance around all the procedures to integrate sustainability at every level, like product level, site level, and so on. So that's also, I think one of the realization I had in 2025. It takes time.
Angelica, what about you? Does anything come up for you?
Ooh. I will say one reflection that came after something that I have heard to quite some people in sustainability is like, do you know how you call a population of individuals that grows exponentially in an environment with limited resources?
Extinct someday?
That's a cancer, right? So some people
Oh.
compare human growth, or let's not just blame humans, societal in general, growth, like exponential, chaotic expansion and growth within a system or an environment with limited resources with cancer, because that's exactly what a cancer is, like a exponential growth of cells in a limited space, like limited resources space. But the huge difference that I have been thinking between cancer and us is that we have awareness, we have a conscious, maybe cancer too, and we don't know exactly how it works. But as far as we know, we have a higher level of awareness. So, for example, to me, that is reflected in the trends that maybe all of us, we have seen it, especially here within the EU, with many people trying to go backwards to more like self-sustainable lifestyle, like Gen Z and the millennials. We are just trying to see how can we support ourselves. We are going back to learn skills that they get lost maybe back in the 90s, in the 80s, where technology just exploded. Now we're trying to learn how to cultivate things. We're trying to learn how to get sustainable energy, how to purify water ourselves. Like our generations, we are just realizing that we cannot depend on the system fully anymore, because that also makes us too dependable on a system that wants to extract resources unlimitedly in a system that doesn't have unlimited resource. So that sounds a bit contradictory, but that's what we realized due to our level of awareness, and I feel very happy. And I'm also happy that this became a trend already, and it's just growing and growing for 2026. So my hope, my grounded hope, is that these kind of trends just become the thing. Like everyone is going back to see, I don't need to consume that much. I don't need that many things to be happy. I can just go back to skills that were lost, like how to grow my own food, maybe basic things, right? We're not all going to be farmers, but maybe we will have an idea on how to produce our own food and how to clear our own water, for example. So for me, that's a very good thing that I see now, and I hope it lasts.
Yeah, I always think, I'm like, what will I do when I solve sustainability? And I'm like, I'm gonna make a list of all the things that I buy in my household, and I'm gonna learn how to make everything, and I'm gonna grow it from scratch, and I'm just gonna live off the land, and can't wait till we solve it. But yeah, no, I like that as a learning. That's a really nice perspective. Hopefully we can get to a point where we do go back to basics a little bit more. It's interesting with the development of AI and where that's going. It'll be interesting to see how things progress. There's a lot of speculation that, the AI will get to do all the fun stuff, like make podcasts and songs and create art, and we'll be, delivering the Amazon boxes and the not so fun, laborious type things. So for me, I think the one thing I've really leaned into this year is the impact that impact assessments and impact reporting can have for organizations. It probably goes without saying that it's important for companies, whether they're for purpose or profit first, that demonstrating their impact is important, right? They need to have either a social license to operate, or they need to show that what they're doing with the funding is having an impact and is feasible and a reliable thing to invest in. But there seems to be, from my point of view, this trend of it being a little bit harder to secure funding these days, especially through grants or investing, or I don't know, landing a project partner that has funding available. Again, goes without saying, if you can't demonstrate the impact that you're having, you can't demonstrate that you're credible. And I'm not talking here just about how many trees you planted. Don't get me wrong. That is, of course, very significant. But there's a bit of a mismatch between organizations needing the funding and the organizations that have the funding to give in terms of the language that's being used, and maybe a mismatch in recognizing the priorities of the different organizations. So that's been really interesting to explore in a bit more in depth. And this year, I think there will be a bit more of a priority placed on assessing and reporting on those impacts. So it speaks a bit better to the priorities of the funding organization. I know it's nothing riveting and exciting and nothing to like jump up and wave your arms around about, but with the rollbacks in funding, in some cases, this disintegration of some funding organizations like USAID, I think it's more important now than ever that you need to show impact, which could be a make or break situation for a lot of for-profit organizations. So it's just something I've been thinking about a lot. It's almost ironic because there's so much money in the world. I mean, it also is something we've just made up, right? We have enough Earth's resources and for everyone to live, but somehow we're putting ourselves into debt over this thing that we created for us. It's just a bit silly. But anyways, I digress. There's money out there. It's being tied up into a smaller number of hands, so it's getting harder to access. So that's where demonstrating impact comes in. Rant over.
No, but I think you guys said something super interesting, because I agree. I mean, definitely, if you see also some trends like the investment and even like the interest in sustainability and environmental topics has been going down for many reasons around the world, like geopolitical reasons, among others. But what I can see also that maybe this is just a moment to find new paths. Like, as you said, Katie, I totally agree. Like now the resources are in like fewer hands maybe, and they are the ones who decided where to allocate them the resources. But also I think that these kind of organizations, and in general, like everyone like us who dedicates to this, we need to find ways to demonstrate it. Like, yep, humans are still very well needed, because AI cannot create ideas from zero. She can just take the AI can just take the information that is already there and put it together. But humans, we can think beyond what is already created. I think that's something that many people still don't understand. And now actually there is some studies and papers that prove AI cannot create brand new ideas. She can just he or eat or she or eat. I don't know what pronoun to use. Can just take ideas already existing and just use it and blend it together. That's why it's a language
someone taught
model.
it that. Someone taught it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think we need to find ways, like sustainability, environmental professionals, to prove this to the organization that has the ways to provide the money or the funds for like keep working on this. And it's not an easy task at all. I totally agree. But I think we can find ways, because we're humans and we can think of new ways to do things.
For sure. For sure. Right. So now we are looking ahead to 2026. So we've got some learning, something that kind of caught our eye and caught our mind that we can take forward into the next year. Saeed, is there anything in particular that you think will shift in the circularity space this coming year in 2026?
I think now, linking it to what I said before, we are working on more to operationalize sustainability. So going from like the corporate level, like setting sustainability strategy and so on, to actually really working on operationalize it, like having it in every department, having it at the product level. And this covers also circularity aspects. So I think we are seeing already now that organization starts to work there on operationalization, because that's really, let's say, the bottleneck right now, and that's really where we need to work on. And also I think with maybe at EU level, with some like regulations to enhance competitiveness of the European economy, I think we will see more like businesses being, let's say, encouraged to integrate circular value chains in their businesses. And this is something that is important, because previously all the circular value chain have been developed in outside Europe, for instance, due to costs mainly. And I think it's not a good or bad thing. Maybe it's a bad thing for Europe, but it's good in general wherever we have circular value chains, whether it's in Asia or Europe or America. But just speaking as we live here in Europe, I think it's going to be good to also see that happening in Europe, because now I think all the waste, a lot of circular things are happening in terms of volume outside Europe. So I'm looking forward to see this circular value chain happening in multiple sectors, like, for instance, textile. We have now a new law that is banning like destruction of unsold products, which is a great thing, and this will push for more circularity or more like reduction of production and so on. Anything that I think goes into the direction of reducing consumption. Yeah, let's take example also of like batteries and like or digital passports for all the kind of products. so if once this starts to apply, I think it's going to be also added value for consumers to decide and get access to the value chain informations, and also decide the most sustainable products they could buy. For me, aspects I'm looking forward to have them already implemented and running, because we are still now just in like starting phase. We're not really like in that like life cycle where we have everything like it's business as usual. We are not there yet, so I'm looking forward to that point in time where we have that, like, that sustainability is in every operations. Like, all the people working in a company consider sustainability as part of their job. They have like tasks to do with regards to sustainability, not just like designing products or just production or quality, but so this kind of aspects. So so to keep it short, I hope to see that happening soon.
Nice. I like the
Me
link
too.
back to hope as well, the grounded hope that sustainability, circularity will be integrated and be looked at, or looked, it'll be the lens which people look through at every step of the way. What about you, Angelica? What are you looking ahead to in 2026? Anything in particular that you think will shift in the circularity space?
Oh, well, personally, and then maybe what I can share also with the people who listen to us is that I really want to see this harmonic and perfect. Maybe saying perfect is too greedy, but okay, harmonic balance between, as I was mentioning before, like the trends of going back to knowing basic skills of survival, like growing our own food and stuff, also combined to knowing and get to take right advantage of the technological tools. So, because for example, there's many studies that says, "Oh no, yeah, AI is making us dumber." But at the same time, if you know how to use it, it will make you more efficient, productive, and like potentialize your ideas, for example. So it's not about the AI, it's about how to use it, for example. So the same for me is like, okay, what if we combine these two things? So for example, we start growing our own food, but we take AI to have better knowledge about how to grow our own food in a more efficient way with the help of the AI and the knowledge that we can get through AI. Just to put an example. So maybe my hope for 2026 is that everyone can think on those ways, like, let's take something sustainable and let's take something technological and let's create a harmony that that many big minds in the past has been thinking about. Like Tesla, he was thinking about a world with unlimited energy for everyone. It was, but unfortunately, by that time there were other powers emerging, so it was not possible. But with the right technology and the right approach and politics and everything, we can still create like a world with free energy, sustainable, renewable for everyone, for example. So those kind of perfect mix between technology, humanity, and nature, I think I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see that in 2026. Hopefully in our lifetimes, but maybe the
Hopefully.
next. But I'm
Perfect.
hopeful.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, as I mentioned before, there is a bit of a shift in development aid funding, which is making the development sector a little bit more competitive. I think development aid budgets are under a lot more pressure from a variety of factors. So we've, of course, got some geopolitical instability. Didn't know if you knew that, but
Mm.
that's definitely a factor.
Yeah.
We've got the rising cost of living pressures. Countries are increasing their spending budgets on defense. Migration policies are forever a thorn in the foot. But at the same time, climate and biodiversity finance commitments, I think, are increasing, at least on paper. So we may see less traditional grant-based development funding, and more of a blended finance model become more popular and more, quote unquote, bankable project expectations. So with that, there's definitely going to be stronger demands for impact that can be measured, and kind of links back to what I said about the impact assessments, impact reporting. Getting funding is going to be very much tied to how you can measure and show your impact. And I think we'll see a greater role of private capital, potentially, private investing, private money in what used to be the public aid space. So let's watch this space. And then we do have the upcoming EU Circular Economy Act, which I'm very excited about. It's expected to move closer into binding measures. So it builds on the European Green Deal and the Circular Economy Action Plan. But it feels like, for me, it feels like the tone is shifting a little bit. I think we can expect to see, I think there's 5 things that we can expect to see in particular. The first is, I think we can see more mandatory recycled content requirements. And I think that will definitely help the struggling recycling sector in the EU. The Netherlands in particular is struggling. Number 2 is stronger product durability and repairability rules. 3, tighter enforcement around waste exports, which you touched on before, Angelica, which hopefully will encourage further innovation locally and local waste management solutions. So we're not sending it off to countries that don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. Number 4, I think we'll see clearer alignment with designing for sustainability and sustainable product regulations. So we'll watch that space. And 5, I think we'll see the acceleration of the digital product passport for textiles in particular, like Saeed alluded to before, but also electronics and batteries. So overall, in my mind, again, maybe this is the fire horse energy coming through, but 2026 for me feels like the year that circularity stops being a nice to have sustainability side checkbox, but it's more of a requirement. And this brings me a little bit of comfort, a little bit of grounded hope. And I think it's also worth mentioning here that businesses who have treated circularity as a delightful little comms strategy might find themselves struggling in the year or years to come. But the businesses who built their internal systems, like Saeed was talking about before, early on, the circularity will benefit them a little bit more. So those are my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents for the 2026 ahead.
I love that you
and
summarized it so well. I didn't. Yeah, now I have like the whole framework, like map on like the key 5 things that you should consider now for sustainability in 2026. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Angelica. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of bases today. We talked about, I love the term that you brought up, the survival positivism.
Yeah,
Positivism. We'll go. And essentially, it's telling us it's easy to get bogged down in what's going wrong and what we still have to work on. But it's good to stop and take a minute to say, actually, things are going right. So a lot of things are going right around the world. And we did bring up the Hope is a Verb podcast and the Fix the News newsletter that you can subscribe to for free, or there's a paid version, I believe. But just give yourself a little dose of good things are happening once in a while. Yes, humans created the problem, but we're also very capable of creating a solution, as evidenced by a number of things. We touched on a few. I mean, Saeed, I liked what you said about having hope pushes you forward. So that's why we wanted to bring the grounded hope in to this episode before we started talking about all the things we learned and had to work towards, because it's a lot. We've got a lot to work on. And I also like what you said, Saeed, that achieving great things takes time, and we'll get there slowly but surely. So if our listener remembers one thing today from each of us, what would it be? Angelica, Saeed?
Yeah, I mean, be hopeful.
Be hopeful, be
And
grounded.
it takes time. I think change takes time, even at our personal level. If we want to change, to transform ourselves, it takes time. Let alone when you want to transform like a community or an organization, a business. So I think it's about taking small steps and keeping the good work and trusting the process, and it's for me it's a matter of belief, and sometimes we need to disregard what's happening around us to continue having those positive thoughts.
Beautiful. Lovely. Well
Like
said.
it.
Angelica?
Yeah, I think continuing a bit Tate's ideas, I will say what I'm doing personally, and I feel it's a good exercise. It's every time you see a negative news, whether if it's sustainability, political, whatever, try to find the positive news within the same space, not necessarily to excuse the bad things that are happening or to put a like to justify it, but to have the full picture about the issue, because that's the only way that we will be able to solve it. If you don't have the full picture, you won't have the right solution. So the only way is always to see the two sides of the coin. So if you see something negative about something and it really triggers you, go to the good side if you can find it, or just the other side, let's put it that way, and try to make sure that you understand both sides before have a conclusion about it.
Yeah,
So that would
great
be my
advice.
take
Great
on.
advice. So one action that you, our lovely listener, can go away and do as soon as you hang up this podcast, go and find a good news article. Go get some grounded hope and let that light a fire inside of you to go forward and push forward into 2026, because things are happening everywhere that we may not see because it's not clickbait newsworthy stuff, but it is happening out there. So go and find something, follow, go through your Instagram, figure out who's get rid of those people who are feeding you the bad stuff and the clickbaity stuff and the annoying look who did whatever, and curate your feed to support you getting in that hope. So with that, let's leave it there. I wish you all grounded hope. And we will see you next time. Well, that is a wrap of episode 16 of Millennials Gone Circular. We hope you're feeling hopeful and grounded and excited about what the future of 2026 holds. Progress is rarely loud. It's slow, it's imperfect, and a lot of the times frustrating. But history does show us that systems can shift and norms can evolve, and things that once felt radical became the status quo. 2026 might not be as cruisy as Insta is leading us all to believe, but one thing is for certain, it is full of possibility. So keep going, you. We will be right here throughout the year with you. But before we go, Millennials Gone Circular is a production of The Waste Not Spot. The Waste Not Spot recognizes the many traditional landowners around the world and their continued stewardship of our planet. We pay our respects and offer our deepest gratitude. And finally, a very special shout out to our newest Millennials Gone Circular team members, Candace Potgieter, our new digital media manager, and Callum McLean, our podcast episode editor. We're so grateful to be working alongside such wonderful humans. If you haven't yet, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Millennials Gone Circular. Until next time.